Welcome back, dear friends. I've been really busy working on things, as always, and I suddenly got the urge to start talking. A little touch of the old verbal diarrhea is coming on. Let me show you what I've been up to. I've been up to these. I don't think I mentioned them in the last video. The Next 6 Heraldic clarion door horns. I just make small numbers because they're much easier just to pack up and to create as and when I need them. And they come on a treat. What a joy. So they're all together and everything. Inevitably, whilst I was putting in the little decorative screw to cover up the mould mark on the horn, I scratched one of them about 3 times with the screwdriver, so I'm just repainting that. Typicalia. So that's that. That's all together. And what's just arrived, that I ordered yesterday, isn't it incredible, from TLC Cables, no affiliation, was this 3 amp twin mains cable to go through the middle of the antique shower hose to connect all that up. 6 o'clock Sunday evening I ordered that. It arrived at 10 o'clock this morning. Brilliant. So I can now get that wired up, which I am, as always, if I'm completely honest with myself, I'm putting off having to connect this up to the laptop and getting it all working. Don't ask me why, because it is an enjoyable part of the process. But I just prevaricate till the cows come home when it comes to this point. It's all finished. It's all done, the mechanics and the electronics. So that's on my list of things to try and put off a little bit longer. And I'm just currently making a load more of these junction boxes for the Heraldic clarion door horns. Because the idea is, you have the door horn, well, you get rid of your boring old ding-dong or ringing bell. And if it's just got 2 wires that run to a simple button, a doorbell push on your front door, you can replace it with one of these. And that connects to your 2 wires that run to your doorbell switch. So this beautiful copper coloured, it's actually, hang on, I'm running out of limbs, rayon. It's not actually copper, but you'd never know, it's rayon. That goes in there, the wires from your existing doorbell go there, and then it'll work, because this has got the batteries in the back. There's the batteries in the back, or somewhere to put them. And you can get extra bits of cable. And what I was doing, I remember for years, well, first few years I was making these, I wasn't adding any cable to them until I received an order. And then, if it was for, say, 3, 4, 5 metres or whatever, I have to take it all out of the box, wire it in, solder it together, get it all ready. And it was taking ages. And providing one of these junction boxes, then it suddenly came to me in a flash of inspiration to include these as a standard 1.5 metres, which is that, and one of those, so you can connect it up. And if you want extra cable, I then supply you the extra length to make adds to the total of that stuff, and another one of them. It's a ball, I tells ya. Because it means when I get an order, I just have to, if it's 1.5 metres, which is the minimum, great, send it off. If not, just add the extra bit and send it off, rather than having to take everything to pieces. It really has made such a difference. Sounds pathetic, but it isn't, I tell you. And when the other thing I've done is to make the boxes. There's a pile of boxes. And luckily, they're the standard ones that I use for the net throbwell kits and the ready-made net throbwells, and a few other bits and pieces. And with this time I just bend them slightly differently and stick on an extra bit of card on the base. In fact, I have the destructions, so just fold them differently, stick the base down, and they're the perfect size for the net throbwells, which saves again having to have loads of other different sized boxes sitting around. All these little things that make such a difference to actually running a business and, you know, using your time and resources wisely. And this is what's prompting me to start talking and not to stop. I'm making the junction boxes. I've cut these pieces of wood out, sanded them up a bit, lovely, and I'm just using the Forstner bits to drill 2 holes, maybe 3, but I've set this up, and this is a really nice example of a one-off jig. Bit of wood, stop it going back, so that lines up with the centre of the drill bit. Block of wood here, lines up there. Drill a nail there, turn it over, drill a nail there, and the depth of it is controlled, set by that. So it turns a really fiddly, nasty job into a pleasant one. And there's the Father Christmas with the illuminated cottage in its stomach. which I just haven't got. I can't bear to get rid of it. I thought I was going to get rid of it, and it's been moved all around the extension over Christmas and everything else, and it's ended up there again, probably for another year. And then, to finish off the central bit, the lovely force, well, all cut out. Whilst I was drilling those holes, I've also been cutting out enough of these lids, nice engraved wooden lids, to go on the tops. That's better. Can't see the scratch marks. So 6 of them done. And I've just stained up the rest of these junction boxes, the new ones. So whilst that's drying, I can get on with the power lead for the Climatic Revelator, that's right. And here is one. They're fantastic. They're flexible steel, or stainless steel I believe, and these ones, the antique brass ones, have been made to look like antique brass, surprisingly. And the great thing is, you can take the rubber tube out of the inside that takes the water through it and use it on an M-net throb well, and the end fittings are standard plumbing fittings, so they will just screw straight onto existing plumbing fittings, such as that one there. Are you sitting comfortably? I'll explain why I do it like that. Because when I built the Barometric Prognosticator 3, the first wall-mounted machine, I was scratching my head thinking, how am I going to connect this up? Because it's meant to be Victorian, so you wouldn't have wires of any sort, so you could embed them in the wall, or you could have some socket in the... And it suddenly came to me in a flash of inspiration that the Victorians were so proud of every aspect and elements of their amazing, innovative industrial inventions, that's the word I was trying to get at, that they would display everything. So if there was a pipe taking steam or compressed air to a machine, that would be proudly on display as well. And it was perfect. It works really nicely because, again, it adds another slightly unusual and unexpected aspect to all these machines. The fact that you can see a big pipe coming down, and several guests to our house, friends and things, have said, where do you get the compressed air supply and things? At the bottom of the pipe, that just plugs into a standard 5-volt USB plug-in adapter. But you'd never know it. So let's get that made up. Would you, Adam and Eve, out of interest, I thought I'd just measure this, and it's sold as 1.5 metres. It's 1.35. Isn't that dreadful? They've just skimped. Everyone now seems to be skimping, except for me, because I like to give a little bit extra. So if I sell some of this, well, this stuff, this lovely copper colour cable, and I'll sell it sort of 2 metres, I'll actually make it 2.1 metres. Because I can, and it's a nice thing to do. Here's a USB-A style plug on its enclosure thing. You can't fix one of those to one of these. So what I do cunningly is to use one of these 8mm to 15mm compression reducers, which screws into the end of there, and then, just like with the other bits of the Heraldic clarions, I put a bit of this, a meter in fact, of that in the end, which does connect to a USB plug, and I have the instructions to prove it. First thing, drill out this bit of the enclosure, the 2 halves, to 4.5mm, this half of it. The great thing about this is that just sits in the middle and clipped together, and it's easy to solder quite hefty wires onto the back of this USB plug. I mean, a USB, I can't remember what the standards are. I think it's 2.5 amp or something. It's quite a lot of current, so they have to be pretty meaty. So that's great. I'll go ahead and solder that on and get the other end sorted out. But before I do that, another prevarication technique. All these bits are now dried, so I've polished them up and they're all lovely and shiny. And I thought, well, let's just get this done. I've already had an order for one of these. And you can see, here are the ones that, here are the little junction boxes that you get with each Heraldic clarion, with 3 rule plugs, and they will have 3 screws. 2 for hanging the clarion, and 1 if you want to screw the junction box to the wall. Otherwise, if you order more than 1.5 metres of wire, you get one of these additionally to allow you to join the extension to the copper bits, if you see what I mean. So I'll get them together because I just want to, you know, I've got all the boxes made up. I just want to get them away safely before I scratch them or something stupid. So get them done, then I promise I'll get that working somehow by hook or by crook. I forgot to mention that if you don't want to use a screw, you can use sticky fixers. Right, back to this. So the first thing to do, well, I've drilled out these two pieces, drill out to 4.5 to make room for the cable entrance. Then it says to bear it back 37mm. Luckily I've got that drawn out to there. So that's bared back now. Next thing is to solder them onto the terminals. So from the back, ground is on the left, plus 5 volts is on the right. The two middle ones are for data if they're being used. Obviously it's just for power. There we are, you can see it all fits together. And then I can glue the top on with a bit of super glue around the edge, and then use the, was it 12mm or 12.5mm wide heat shrink tube or sleeve to join these bits together. And there we have it. I'll put a bit of super glue on it before I put the heat shrink sleeve. That's really nice and strong, tough and electrically sound and everything. So the next thing is I need to feed this through that compression fitting, and then join this onto a piece of that other 3-amp cable that I've got. I could use this going right the way through it, but it's really expensive, this lovely copper coloured stuff, so I'll just swap it for a normal cable to go through the pipe. And I use this as sort of double insulated cable just for extra protection. The inside of the tube is actually quite smooth, surprisingly, but just as a precaution. I've just realised, of course, that I'm not showing you any of these steps. Here's a paint stripper gun, which is perfect for this, and there's heat shrink slit tube sleeve. So there we are. So that's shrunk onto that. I'm going to put another one on top, and that takes this particular cable up to 8mm, which is perfect for that compression fitting. So with the compression fitting, firstly you put the whatever that's called on, then where's it going to go? Yeah, it's going to go over all the sheathing stuff. There's the olive. These ones come with copper olives, which is nice because they compress. They're softer and compress much more easily than the brass ones. And then you put the fitting over the top. Now I've drilled out the fitting because normally there's a little ridge around the inside so that when you push 8mm pipe in it can't go too far. But I've drilled that out so that everything can just push in. So you can line it up something like that, and then you tighten it with a pair of pliers. Don't have to do it too tightly. I'll tighten it probably about 3 rotations or 1.5, just until this is held in place properly. So that's lovely and tight now. That's not going anywhere. So now I can bear back all of this, join onto some of that black cable and put a heat shrink sleeve over all that, and then I can screw that into one of the ends of the antique shower hose. When I join these wires, what I like to do is to, that's top tip, I join them at different points along it, because if you cut the ends both the same length, you're going to have double the heat sleeving and all the rest of it, and they're sort of quite bulgy, take up a lot of room. But if you offset them, you can see that doesn't cause a problem. Also, it's handy when you've got one longer, because then you've got somewhere to store the heat shrink while you solder it without it all shrinking. So I've heat shrunk them, and I've got another bit to put over the top. All fingers and thumbs. Here we are. And then I'll heat shrink that. Once that's nice and tight, that's perfect. So we've now got a USB plug connected to a lovely antique hose. So I've got this end now connected up. Ground, well, it's going to there for now because I want to just double check that I've got everything the right way round, and then the positive comes through a 1 amp fuse into the rest of the circuit. And I'm very pleased to say that's close enough, 4.94 volts, because I've just plugged the other end of that into one of the USB adapters. So that's great. I can now get that connected up and then Plug the laptop in. I can prevaricate no longer. Well, first thing I've done, it was set to where I live's altitude, which is 69 metres. And I remembered, I just checked on the customer's address in London, and I'm glad I did, because it's 18 metres. Luckily, I have written a sort of test procedures, a series of them. So it's going to call this after it's set itself up. It's going to serial print the pressure, so I can see whether that makes sense and is working. Then it's going to write the maximum value from the pressure. I don't know how that works, but it's 7,000. I can't remember how I did it. And then it's just going to stop and do nothing else. So that's the first thing to test. When you get a new Arduino, all the general purpose input outputs are set to inputs, that's right, so that you can't damage it, because if they were set to output you might be short-circuiting things or whatever. So that's nice, and this is a new Arduino. I'm still prevaricating, aren't I? I just need to plug it in and switch it on and get on with it. Now if I plug the USB in first, it will then try and run everything off that computer, and I don't want that. So the first thing to do, right, well, we have a green light. It's always nice to have a green light. So now I'm going to connect the USB up and then upload the sketch. Issue 1 was I was trying to drive the LEDs that illuminate the dial directly from the output of the Arduino, which is wrong and bad, and I hope I haven't destroyed one of the input-output things. Because what I meant to do was take the output of the Arduino, and as I always do, use one of the spare interfaces in the motor interface thing, and then take that to the meter. So let's get it back together and see if that helps. This is making my nerves bad. I just did this again, trying to get it to read the pressure, and nothing happened. Then I noticed, thankfully, that I'd got the baud rate set to the wrong one for a different sketch. Set it back to 9,600 and it popped up. So one thing works. That's actually quite a lot of things, because that's now meaning that the, where is it, the little barometric sensor there, pressure sensor, is communicating properly over the SCL and SDA links, which is the I2C link to the Arduino that's being able to print. So I haven't fried everything. Right, now let's see about this meter. Let's see if I can switch that off, or whether I've damaged that in-out pin. This is getting more and more peculiar, because I thought I'd just check that the meter was actually working. So I've got a little 3-volt battery pack, and prodding around it does work, but it looks like the 1K resistor doesn't work. It's open circuit. I don't understand. Ground to there. What a mess. Poking around. That's, yeah, well, you saw it move here too first, etc. That is odd. So this 1K resistor, I don't know what's up with it, but it isn't. Even though it reads as 1K. I'm going to plug this in and see. I've never seen the likes. I assure you, these are quite unusual. Usually things work. Honest, I promise, Governor. Ah, that's what we want. Fantastic. Right, so that's the first 2 tests complete. What a palaver. Never seen the like. Actually, I'll bring you along for the ride. This next test is going to switch on the stepper motor outputs one at a time. Sometimes, for no reason that I've ever been able to figure out, they go backwards, these little stepper motors. I have no idea why. Yep, they're going on in order. That's great. And I can just hear the stepper motor. It shows you how slow these stepper motors can go. That's brilliant. I don't know which direction it's meant to be going in though. I didn't make a note of that. What an idiot. The final test is to test the movement sensor and the LED. You can see how sensitive it is. So it'll switch on the LED whenever it sees movement. Isn't that lovely? What an amazing little thing. I thought, just as an ending for this video, because it seems like a natural point to end, I could just go through my patter, my spiel that I used at Whitby about what this machine actually does. Let me show you. The Climatic Revelator records barometric pressure changes throughout the day and night. It records these and uses them to create a weather prediction, which is displayed using one of 5 scenes mounted in a carousel that rotates. These depict a Victorian couple sitting in a park drinking a cup of tea, or trying to. They range from very dry, dry, change, rain, and stormy. And each of the scenes is constructed from 3 different layers. There's the couple cut out of a silhouette, there's a background with trees in the park, and then in the very background there's the sky with clouds and sun and things like that. Each hour, or when there is a significant weather change, the carousel will rotate. As the carousel is rotated, it also moves a mechanism with chimes that ring chimes. If the pitch of the chimes raises, as it is so doing currently, it means the weather pressure is getting better, is rising, so the weather will be improving. If it goes the other way around and pitch falls, it means the weather's getting worse. Also, when it doesn't see movement for an hour, it all goes to sleep and shuts down, and then when it again sees movement, for example when you come down in the morning, everything fades up logarithmically and it will rotate and play a tune and everything to greet you first thing. I thank you very much. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found it entertaining, insightful. Please remember to click on the subscribe and all that sort of thing. And remember, all these things that I show you being built on the YouTube channel are all available from my Etsy shop. Just have to visit my website, steamhead.co.uk, and there's a link. Thank you very much. I always forget to say that because I get so involved in all the making, but the idea is to try and sell some stuff as well, I believe. Thanks again. Hope to see you next time.